Good morning. How is Planned Parenthood doing this morning? Are we fired up? All right. Welcome to beautiful Albany. No snow? Okay, a little bit of snow. Could be worse, snowing downstate. Welcome back. It's always a pleasure to have you here. You energize the Capitol. You energize the legislature, which is good. You inform them, you motivate them. And this is an important year. I turned the big 6-0 this year, 60 years old. There is no good news about turning 60. They say, oh, well, 60 is the new 50. Yeah, well, 50 stinks too. There is just nothing good. But it gives you the advantage of a little wisdom and a little perspective. I've been in government, I've been in politics, basically all of my adult life. I thought I had seen it all. But this federal government is now showing us something new and something different. Politics used to be about single issues, basically. We would have fights about single issues, taxes, the environment, choice, etc. This is a different paradigm. This is not just about different issues. This is about a basic philosophy and view of America, who it is, what it means, and where it's going. I was speaking to a young woman the other week, and she said, you know, I just don't recognize my country anymore. And I think that's true. It's that basic, it's that profound. So this is not politics as usual. It's a broader fight than that. This is a federal government that is trying to change the character of our country. It's a federal government that is trying to impose their worldview on America. It's their personal view, their religious view, and make that the new American standard. They want to reshape society in their image. Make no mistake, these are extreme conservative zealots. There is no reasoning with them. There is no compromising with them. And listen to what they say. Because if you listen to what they say, they will tell you what they intend. Make America great again. Make America great again. Just think about that for a minute. The concept is America was great back in the past. Our glory days were behind us. And we had to take America back to that point, to those days. Make America great again. Bring us back. Bring us back to where? Where were these good old days? Where was this idealized past when we were at the pinnacle of justice and opportunity? Where do you want to take us back to? Well, back to before all these new immigrants were here. All these immigrants speaking Spanish, competing for our jobs. Take us back before the immigrants. There is no back before the immigrants. Talk about ignorance and hypocrisy. Unless you're a member of the Navajo, the Sioux, the Iroquois, then you are an immigrant. Take us back to those good old days when we could take anything we wanted from the earth, when we could burn coal and we could drill for oil wherever we wanted. We didn't have these annoying Paris Accords or national forest preserves or environmental regulations. They now propose drilling off the shore of Long Island. Back to those great old days when we could just pillage the earth. Back to the great old days when our interpretation of the Bible was the law of the land. before we allowed gays to marriage, before these LGBTQ rights. That's what they're saying. Back before women had the right to choose. Back to the old days when we had guns and there was no government regulation that was going to tell us what to do with our guns. Back to the good old days before labor unions and all these annoying workers' rights and workers' regulations. Back to the good old days when our religion was the religion of the land, before these Muslims and these Buddhists and all these different non-Christian religions. Back to the good old days and traditional roles when women knew their place was in the home and chauvinism was the unwritten law of the land. That is what they are saying. That is their view. And it is a comprehensive worldview, and everything they're doing is to make their view a reality. And that is our enemy. That's what we're fighting. That biased, bigoted, misogynistic, backwards mentality. And my friends, we have to challenge it on every front. And that's how I see the role of the state of New York. You look at the history of the state of New York, it wasn't just another state, he says with his New York arrogance. You look at all the progressive movements, they all started here in New York. Women's rights movement started here, Seneca Falls. Environmental rights movement started here at the Storm King Mountain. Workers' rights started here at the Shirtwaist Triangle Factory fire. Gay rights started here at Stonewall Movement. And the counterforce movement to this federal government is going to start here in the state of New York. We have a powerful moment for reform that is in front of us right now. We just went through a horrific period where we came to grips with this nation's chronic sexual harassment of women. And the Me Too movement has been so effective and so powerful, and God bless those women who stepped forward. But we now have a moment where the American people understand the problem, and they're repulsed by it. And that's a moment of opportunity, because that's when reform comes, when people understand the problem. What is Washington doing in terms of an anti-sexual harassment policy? Nothing. The silence has been deafening. Now, I understand why they would want to stay away from that issue. They start to have that topic, then they'd have to hear from stormy and cloudy and windy and rainy. You'd have a whole weather report by the time you were done. But we can't lose the moment. So we've proposed here in the state of New York the strictest anti-sexual harassment policy in the United States of America. It starts with government leading the way, and we have the strongest anti-sexual harassment policy. No longer can an elected official or a politician hide behind a no-disclosure agreement. You can disclose the perpetrator's identity and protect the victim's identity. No taxpayers' money. No taxpayer money for these settlements against elected officials. Let them pay their own settlement. One policy that covers every government in the state. Local governments, town governments, village governments. We're going to impose it on everyone, and then we're going to challenge the private sector to address the issue the same way the government has. We have another moment of possibility after the Florida massacre. God rest their souls. This nation understands the absurdity of gun violence. This federal government doesn't because they pledge allegiance to the NRA, but the American people get it. We learned our lesson after Sandy Hook and that massacre, where we came back and we passed the best gun control policy in the United States of America, the SAFE Act. But we now have a chance to make it even stronger, because there is an element for protecting women in that gun control arena. Victims of domestic violence are all too often victims of gun violence. A gun is used as a symbol of power and domination by the domestic violence abuser. 4.5 million American women report that an intimate partner has threatened them with a gun. Half of the American women who are murdered are killed by their intimate partners. And in the majority of mass shootings, the victims included the shooter's intimate partner. We want to pass a law. If you have an order of protection or you're a domestic violence abuser, we remove your guns, period. That's the law that we want to propose. Good for you. Good for you. Thank you. Thank you. And then we have more work to do this year. We have to pass the Contraceptive Care Act. We have to do it this year. This year we put into effect the best paid family leave program in the United States of America, 12 weeks. We already have the highest MWBE quota in the United States of America. We now want to extend it to local governments also, so women businesses have a chance to flourish all across the state. We want to be more aggressive in attacking sex trafficking, which is very much alive and well in America. More enforcement of worker exploitation, and Roe v. Wade has to be added to the Constitution of the state of New York. Because they will take us back before 1973. They will take us back, and we have to protect our position, and it has to be written into our Constitution. Thank you. My last point is this. The notion of going back to the good old days is wrong. We're not going back. We're going forwards. Women are not going back. Women are going forward. Society is not going back. Society is going forward. And the good old days were not that good. And the good old days, the good days are really ahead of us. Because the good days are when we reach the full potential of this nation. And the full potential of this nation will be reached when every individual, every woman, every child is developed to their full potential. When we no longer see race or sex or sexual orientation, when there is no glass ceiling, when we educate poor black children the same way we educate rich white children, when everybody has the same opportunity, that's when America will reach its peak. That is when we will hit the good days. And New York is going forward for the good days. We're not there yet, but we will be there. And that is what New York is all about. Striving for that future. And together we're going to make it a reality. Thank you and God bless you.